They thought the system would never fall. The great machine of man, governments, markets, empires, religions built on the confidence that nothing would shake them. They strutted in marble halls, passed decrees as if they were gods, spoke with pride from thrones built on paper and smoke. But they forgot the one truth that holds it all together. No kingdom built on rebellion against heaven can stand. The system has been weighed. From the towers of Wall Street to the pulpits of compromised churches, from the chambers of power to the influencers of culture, the balance has been measured. And just like ancient Babylon, the writing is on the wall. Mean, tekel, upharsin, numbered, weighed, divided. Do you see it now? The economy is shaking, the moral compass shattered. The law once rooted in truth now dances to the tune of corruption. They call it progress, but it's regression wrapped in digital light. It's rebellion wearing the clothes of freedom. Look around, the very foundations are trembling. Schools teach confusion. Leaders speak lies with polished teeth. The internet has become a tower of Babel, millions of voices, none making sense, families breaking, nations raging. Men becoming lovers of self, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Is this the system we trusted? No, this is the system that is now collapsing. And make no mistake, it's not random. It is judgment. Not the final judgment, but a warning, a wake-up call. The sound of boots marching before the sky breaks open. God is not mocked. What a nation sows, it will reap, and we have sown the wind, we will reap the whirlwind. And here's the part many don't want to hear. Even the religious system has been touched. Churches filled with smoke machines and empty words. Preachers who tickle ears and sell out the gospel for applause and likes. They speak of destiny, but not repentance. They promise breakthrough, but never mention the cross. They lead sheep into entertainment, not into the presence of the living God. And now the shaking is reaching them too. Because this is not just a financial shaking or political shaking. This is a divine shaking, a purge, a stripping. Every idol, every false altar, every imitation of God is being exposed for what it is. But here's what they never expected. The system is failing, and it must. Because for the bride to rise, Babylon must fall. This is not the end for you. Chosen one, this is the unveiling. While they panic, you must perceive. While they tremble, you must stand, because you were never meant to rely on the system. The system was built to fail. It was built on sand, but you were planted on the rock, and yet, even in the failing, there's mercy. Yes, the collapse is judgment, but it's also invitation. An alarm clock from heaven ringing in the middle of the night. God is saying, come out of her, my people, be not partakers in her sins. That's why you feel what you feel. That tug in your spirit, that ache in your heart, that awareness that time is not just moving, it's running out. You're awake because He called you to be. You're here, hearing this, because He chose you to see what others refuse to see. The world will mock, let them. The scoffers laughed in Noah's day too, until the first raindrop touched their face. You chosen one don't have time for mockery. You don't have the luxury of delay. The system is failing not just to destroy, but to reveal. To reveal who you really are. When Egypt fell, Israel rose. When Babylon was judged, Daniel stood untouched. When the fire came, Shadrach didn't burn. That's the pattern, that's the plan. You're not here to hide in fear. You're here to shine in the shaking. The collapse is not your curse. It's your confirmation. The world says it's falling apart. Heaven says it's falling into place. Let the system fall. Let it burn if it must. Because what's coming is greater than anything this world could ever offer. And you were born for this moment. And then it happened. Quietly to some, violently to others. But it happened. A sign, not a whisper, not a suggestion, but a divine echo across the heavens. The kind of sign that doesn't just speak, it shakes. The kind of sign that doesn't ask for your attention, it demands it. And still, most missed it, because the world doesn't recognize the signs of heaven anymore. It's too busy chasing illusions, too addicted to noise, too wrapped in itself to see that the skies are speaking. But for those who have eyes to see, for those who are not blind by choice, it was undeniable. There it was, a final harbinger, a prophetic echo from ancient pages into our modern chaos, a mirror reflecting the last hour before the flood, a cry in the heavens announcing, "It has begun." No, this wasn't just another headline. This wasn't just a natural event or a political turn. It was layered, supernatural, cosmic, and it bore the fingerprint of God. You know the pattern. It has happened before. A blood moon over Jerusalem, a shofar blast on an unassuming mountain, a shaking in the earth at the exact time the nation turned its back. Every time humanity forgets God, he sends a sign, not out of anger, but out of mercy, a chance to wake up before it's too late. But this one felt different. It wasn't just a warning, it was a closing, because there comes a point when mercy stops warning and starts lifting. There comes a point when the trumpet doesn't just sound, it calls, "Look closer, you'll see it, all around us, signs converging." Israel stirred, the nations restless, fires raging, earthquakes groaning, leaders rising who defy the living God and are celebrated for it. The Euphrates drying, the sun darkening, the moon turning red, wars, rumors of wars, peace accords whispered in backrooms while missiles wait behind borders. And still, the world shrugs, but the heavens don't shrug, they speak. And when this sign appeared, the one that aligned with Scripture, with past patterns, with celestial timing, it was as if a seal had been broken. The last seal, I don't know, but it was a last of something. It wasn't something to analyze. It was something to discern, not just seen with the eyes, but felt in the spirit. It was the kind of thing that makes your heart stop for a second, that causes silence to fall in the soul before understanding catches up. A silence not of fear, but of realization, a holy weight, a divine whisper saying, "This is it." I've spoken of signs before. Many have, but this was different, not because it was louder, but because it was the final puzzle piece, the last page before the epilogue, the final candle flickering before midnight strikes. And what does it mean? It means the time of the watchers is ending. The time of the sleepers will come crashing down, and the time of the departure is near. Because before the storm breaks, the ark is sealed. Before judgment falls, the righteous are called out. And before the trumpet of war, there is a trumpet of rescue. You, chosen one, were meant to see it, to feel it, to know, not to fear, but to ready yourself, because signs aren't sent to stir anxiety, they are sent to stir urgency. You can't wait for confirmation when God already gave revelation. You can't sit in the doorway when the house is on fire. You can't keep asking what if, when heaven has already shouted now. So many are still trying to fit into a world that's about to pass away. Still investing in treasures that will soon rot. Still choosing comfort in Babylon when Babylon is sinking. Still playing church in a world that's being judged for rejecting the church's message. But we are not them. We are the watchers, the intercessors, the voice, criers in the wilderness. We saw the sign, and it wasn't just a sign of coming tribulation. It was a sign of coming glory. Because the trumpet isn't only for judgment, it's also for ascension, the sign wasn't just to say, "Get ready." It was to say, "He's already on the way." The king doesn't send for his bride when the war is about to begin. He sends for her just before the shaking starts. And so the appearance of this final sign, it isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the final moment before the page turns forever. Don't wait for the world to understand. It never will. Don't wait for culture to affirm what heaven already confirmed. The last sign has appeared, the countdown has begun, and the next sound could be the trumpet. They won't tell you this in the churches that have gone soft. They won't say it in the corridors of power or the studios of fame. They won't whisper it from the stages of modern religion. But I will tell you, because time is too short to stay silent. You were not born to fit in. You were not created to be part of the crowd, to blend in with the noise, to dance with the culture while the world walks blindfolded off a cliff. You were never meant to be entertained into spiritual sleep. You are not part of the collapse. You are part of the calling. There is a remnant rising, a holy disturbance inside the chosen, the set apart, the ones who can no longer breathe in the toxic air of compromise. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, that pull in your soul that refuses to let you settle in the patterns of this world. That's not anxiety, that's not paranoia, that's the Spirit of God waking you up. While they chase platforms and applause, while they sell truth for likes, while they barter holiness for relevance, you are being set apart. Marked, branded by heaven for something far more dangerous, far more sacred, far more eternal. You are not just a believer. You are not just a Christian. You are not just a churchgoer. You are a witness, a foreigner, a voice crying out in a wilderness that's growing darker by the hour. And the reason you feel so out of place is because you were never meant to belong to this place. The world is collapsing because it must. The system is failing because it was never built on truth. The towers are shaking because they were constructed on sand. But you were built on a rock that cannot be moved. Don't fear the shaking. You were born for it. You were born to stand when others bow. You were born to speak when others are silent. You were born to carry light when the darkness screams to extinguish it. Do you think it's a coincidence you're here now, that you're alive at this exact moment in history? That while the earth groans, the sky darkens, and the lines are drawn, you're still standing, no accident. You were not created to survive this hour. You were created to define it. The world may call you foolish. Let them. They called Noah foolish until the rain began to fall. They mocked Elijah until the fire consumed the altar. They laughed at Jeremiah until the gates of Jerusalem were broken and burned. They scorned the Son of God until he rose from the dead with scars in his hands and a crown of glory on his head. Let them mock. You were not born for applause. You were born for obedience. You are not part of the system. You are part of the resistance. You are not here to enjoy the comforts of Babylon. You are here to announce its fall. You are the last watchman on the wall, the last runner with the torch, the final generation who still dares to speak truth in a world that no longer wants it. You don't need permission to stand. You don't need agreement to speak. You don't need a platform to burn with fire. And if you feel weak, good. If you feel unqualified, even better, because God doesn't call the strong, He calls the willing. He doesn't need your strength. He needs your surrender. He doesn't anoint the polished. He anoints the broken, the poured out, the hungry. The remnant will not be the largest group. It never is. But it will be the most dangerous, because they have nothing left to lose. They have already died to themselves. They have already laid down their names, their rights, their reputation. They have counted the cost, and they have said, "Even if none go with me, I will follow." That's who you are. Chosen one, do not wait for the world to catch up. It won't. Do not wait for your feelings to align. They may never. Do not look for confirmation from the blind or comfort from the lukewarm. Stand anyway. Speak anyway. Shine anyway, because this world is not your home. The system is not your source. The culture is not your compass. And the King is coming. Exit the system or be consumed by it. That's the choice now, not tomorrow. Not next year. Now, you see, for too long we've danced on the edge, one foot in the kingdom, one foot in the culture. We've treated faith like a part-time hobby, salvation like a backup plan, holiness like a costume we wear on Sundays but take off Monday morning. But that season has come to an end. The hour is too late, the shaking too violent, the line too clear. You cannot be half in when the trumpet is about to sound. You cannot flirt with Babylon when Babylon is being judged. Because what is Babylon really? It's not just a place. It's a system, a world order, a way of thinking, living, breathing, buying, selling, watching, consuming. It's the spirit of this age, dressed in gold and pride, promising life while feeding death. It tells you you can have it all, without surrender. It tells you you can serve both God and mammon. It tells you you don't have to choose, but that lie has expired. The system is collapsing under the weight of its own rebellion. It has rejected truth, mocked righteousness, silenced the prophets, exalted confusion, and now it groans like a dying empire. And yet people still cling to it, still invest in it, still take its mark, not the one of a chip or a barcode, but the one of compromise. Every time we silence conviction to be accepted, that's a mark. Every time we trade truth for relevance, that's a mark. Every time we bow to the fear of man instead of the fear of God, that's a mark. This system is not neutral. It was never neutral. It has always been at war with heaven. And the truth is, you cannot stand with the king while you are still eating at the table of his enemies. This is what the shaking is about, not punishment, but separation. The fire comes to burn away the mixture. The collapse comes to wake up the sleeping. The signs come to call the chosen out of the noise and into the narrow path. You cannot walk both roads anymore. You cannot drink from both cups. The hour has come when you must decide the system or the Savior. You can hear it now, can't you? That voice echoing from Revelation. Come out of her, my people. Not just come out of a place, but come out of a mindset, come out of an allegiance, come out of an identity that was never yours to wear. Because when Babylon falls, and it will fall, it will take everything with it that refuses to let go. And that includes churches who looked more like the world than like the bride. It includes believers who were too in love with being liked, too afraid to offend, too busy chasing blessings to ever carry a cross. But not you. You're not called to burn with Babylon. You're called to shine as Jerusalem descends. You're not called to blend in. You're called to stand out. You're not called to keep up with the system. You're called to overcome it. You see, this world is loud. Its culture is seductive. Its gods are many: comfort, pleasure, popularity, money, self. But every false god is trembling now. The collapse is revealing that everything that isn't built on the rock is sand. The careers, the brands, the ministries built on charisma instead of character, the followers who never knew the Father, it's all coming down. And that's not your tragedy, it's your deliverance, because sometimes God has to shut the system down before his people will walk out. He has to dry up Egypt before we'll leave its comfort. He has to let the idols fall before we see they were never gods to begin with. Don't wait for the world to affirm what heaven already exposed. Don't wait for a pastor, a platform, or a politician to do what God has already whispered in your spirit. Walk out now, while there's still time, while the ark is still open, while the trumpet hasn't sounded yet. Let them have the system. Let them build their empires. Let them pursue what perishes. You were made for another kingdom. You were born for a greater city. The hour is late. The fire is falling, and the king is coming.